G'day and welcome. I have called this mailbag. It's not really a mailbag video. These are donations I've received recently for the project, if you know what I mean. And I'm always really appreciative to get these donations because without people's help, I've got no hope of finishing off these motorcycles and cars. T250, the Suzuki, that's my headlight shell. It was rusty, that's just rattle canned. These are very hard to get the lens for because they're squared off at the bottom. I could probably straighten that a bit better. The light I had was actually cracked. I've got a good rim, but Andy Newstead has come through with this headlight, which is absolutely perfect. That will bolt in here, there and there. And of course we've got the adjuster thing as well, which I don't know where that is. Oh, that goes in the side there for here as well. And that'll fit perfectly. I think this is off his T350. And they're the same as a 500, I believe. And of course it came in this really spiffy box. I'll keep that box. It's kind of munted, but I'll stick it from the inside. That's a great display piece. So that's got me out of a pickle because you can't really stick another kind of headlight in. You could probably put a small Honda one in, but these channels here for the Speedo and TAC cable mean that the generic aftermarket ones won't fit. But that's great. So Andy, if you see this, thank you very much indeed. Barry Ford is a bloke who's helped me a lot, and I'll show you some other stuff that he's sort of thrown my way. These were meant to be CB350. I think they're 500 or 750. These are just like the ones off my 750. They'll sit too proud of the 350, but I can still use parts of them, I'm sure. Pillion passenger pegs, there's a brake lever there, and a through bolt. There's different lengths of these. I've got 3 different lengths of those, but I am missing some. One of the engine mount bolts. I can cut that down, machine it, and rethread it. That's a handy thing to have. Front guard, this is also CB500, so it's a little bit wider than what the 350 would use. Certainly not something you would cut. This is something that you preserve. One thing I do need from it though is this loop here for the speedometer cable, because the one off my 350 is, well, on the Suzuki at the moment, so I'll take that off, clean it up and use it. He also threw in a bunch of exhausters which are in better shape than the ones on my 350. I might swap them over, but they're really handy to have too, considering I'm building another bike. I might be able to use this on it, I'm not sure, but it's certainly a great thing to have. He also threw this in. I don't know what that looks like. It kind of looks a bit like a mudguard stay, but it doesn't fit that thing. I don't know what it's from. That's a baffle, a sump baffle. That looks like a 350 part. But I just want to show you something quickly. Project bike. It's a compliance to, it's still got its numbers and everything in it. Frame for a CB350F, and it came with the swing arm as well. You can see that over there. These sorts of things, some sellers have got $600 on them. And Barry just said, look, make me an offer. And I think it was $100 or something. And he sent that, he sent the swing arm, he sent forks as well. The forks I won't use because I'm after 350 twin forks, because I've got the hub for it. The front hub with the twin leading shoe brakes. He sent me a starter motor, he sent me a spare cylinder head, he sent me a Sprag clutch. All this stuff, and that's very hard stuff to send. I don't know that Barry's terribly well, and it's a big ass sort of packing a frame and all those bits up and sending them away in boxes, because I don't know that he lives so close to the freight company where he had to take them to. But Barry, if you see this video, thank you very much indeed for all you've done. Now this is going to take a while. There's a lot of stuff came from John Gibbons, and John and I have known each other for many years. John, I think he's 12 months younger than me. I met him when I was 18, I think. He was 17. And I started out my automotive trade with his father, who sadly passed in March 1988. John's had a big garage clean out. And when I say big, he's had a big clean out. This is a 4-barrel manifold from a Holden V8. This would be off a 308. It's got red paint on it. 308s only had 4-barrel carburetors. 253s had a Stromberg WW on a different manifold until the blue motor came out, I think in 1981. His brother James had a Monaro, an HJ Monaro 308. It could be off that because he ended up putting a small block in it. But these are great, and a lot of people don't bother with Edelbrocks and all that sort of stuff on Holden V8s because these are an aluminium manifold and they actually flow very well. So there's an awful lot from John. I'm just going to pop this on the ground and get some of the other things. Another item is this automatic transmission stand. These are great. You can lie your FMX or C4 or Glide or whatever you've got on here upside down. Take the pan off and you've got everything just there in front of you. This was from John's father, John Gibbons Senior, the chap I worked for. I had this for years and years. It sat on a shelf, and I kept meaning to take it to him. Eventually I took it to him, and of course he just brought it back. I don't think he wanted it. So that's a handy thing to have too. Rochester Quadrajet. These are very common in, this has got a buggered diaphragm on it. Very common in the GM cars. People were fitting these in Fords. That's from the accelerator pump, I think. They were fitting these in Fords as well for LPG applications, because your big carby backfires apparently warp the bodies in the thermoquads. These are great carburetor. I've heard some people being critical of these. Mechanical secondaries, big spreadbore design. I think they're fantastic things. I think they're better than a thermoquad in a lot of ways, but that was great. That would have come with that manifold that I showed you before. And there's another couple of carburetors too. Here we have a Motorcraft. I've got an Autolite variant of one of these. Not in as good a shape as this though. This is in incredibly good condition. Very clean inside on the secondaries. This would have probably come from Peter Stanton. It's a Holly pattern. So you bolt these things straight up. You probably put a phenolic spacer straight up to an Edelbrock. I don't know what they flow. I'm not sure if they're how many CFM they are, but that's in very, very good condition. So thanks for that too. And of course we've got this rather dirty looking Edelbrock Performer. This is a 600 CFM. This has had virtually no use. I know this carburetor. This is off Peter Stanton's car. He put this on, he had a GXL 351 manual, and he bought this new and he put it on, and he only had it on for a short time. I think he put the thermoquad back and then sold the car. As part of the, I don't think he wanted to leave it on with all the emissions missing, but you can see there it's in absolutely pristine condition. Just needs a bit of a clean up, maybe some gaskets in, and that'll be good to go. So that's a real score, that one. That's great. Here we have a cylinder leak tester. John used to repair James, or he built James' drag car engine, and so he had all these tools, and he also had this, a Morosso. It's a cup that he would use to when they did jet changes, so he didn't get fuel all over the manifold. So that's wonderful. Of course, we've got the Champion boxes, and I will use those split pins. Motorbikes are full of them, cars are full of them. That's a very handy thing to have. And I told John about all this stuff. I said, if you need anything back, just come and take it. Split pins, lock washers. Sizes like this, I find I'm always looking for small things like that, and I can never find them. These are metric, imperial. So I'll certainly be using those. Blade fuses, believe it or not, we do have some modern cars here. So I'll use them as well. I don't know what this is. Oh, more split pins. I won't need to buy split pins for a while, but that's great. That would have been from John Gibbons Senior. Judging by the box. Handyman kit. Of course, these Posidrive. I don't use Posidrive stuff much. It's a different type of Phillips head, but I always found they rounded out because I was using the wrong screwdriver, but that's a very, very firm sort of kit there, so that's wonderful as well. Now I've got a lot of VL Commodore ones of these. Now there are a lot of books. These HQ Holden service manuals. This is on the engines, of course. These were owned by H.G. Stanton. That's Harry Stanton. Now Harry was a quiet guy. He was a really, really nice man. We all were drag racing down Wildorf's Road and lost our licenses outside his unit. He never went off at us. He was really good about it. And he was very supportive of Peter's friends. Well, Harry needed a new car, I think, after he had the HQ. And Peter said, you're going to need a VK Commodore with a 308 and it has to be manual. So Harry went and bought one. These are Harry's books. The HQ Holden set. Now, Holden had volumes for different bits and pieces. Obviously he did some work on his suspension in that one, and you can see they're all sort of listed in here. Now I've got the VL Commodore ones, but I've never had the HQ Holden ones. So that's a really, really good thing to have. And you can see just the quality of them. They're an absolutely beautiful publication. That go into, they're much, much better than any of the manuals you get these days. They're proper manuals. They're absolutely lovely. These fairly quickly, because you're going to be here all day. There's a few Street Machine magazines in there. Muscle cars, thing on muscle cars. History of the Tirana. That's a good one. That's great. That's actually a really good one. I love these cars. HKTG Monaras, I had one. I had an HT. It was 186S, 4-speed. It was Peter Stanton's car. He went overseas, I think, to get his flying hours up, and sold the car to John's dad, John Gibbons Sr., for $400 or something. And John said, look, his father said to me, I've had it for ages, I've been storing it, I want $500, so I paid $500 for it. Of course, Peter came back and wanted the car back, and I said, you can have it for the $500. I should have just kept it and told him to stick it. Tough V8s. A lot of stuff on drag racing. I don't know much about drag racing, but there's some books on those. This is lovely. The lineage of a legend, the history on the Fairlane. Lots of paraphernalia, ZJs and Ks and Hs. This is ZH. I'm looking at it upside down, so I'm getting my models wrong. There's ZCs and there's all sorts of stuff. That's a beautiful publication, that one. There was a nice ZC in here somewhere. So there's that. Funny cars again. Formula One, I saw something on Schumacher, and there's probably Senna and all sorts of other races in there. Door slammers, I'm not familiar with door slammers. There's a book on it so I can learn. Peter Werrett, Defensive Driving, I think it is it? Skills and Tactics. How to Build a Big Block Chevy, the Rat Motors, Smoky. I might, no I haven't. This could have been Peter's, I remember seeing this. Because we didn't know how to say was it Yannick or Unique. Don't know. I've seen that book and I think Peter had that. How to Build a Small Block Chev, Turbocharging, another book. Holly Carburetors and Manifolds, Small Block Ford. Body and painting, I could get some skills up on that, so I might sort of have a look at that, although I don't know if I want to do this. Chevy Performance. Auto Restoration, that'll have some good tips in it. I've got a really good restoration manual for MGBs. Clutch and Flywheel Handbook. EA Falcons. They'll probably become sought after because no one wanted them, but now they probably will. Street Supercharging. Chevy Performance, another one. Oh look, Rochester Quadrajets, and it's a huge book. I've got one of those now. Build Your Own Streetcar. How to Build a Hot Rod Small Block Chevy. The Ford V8, I've done a 429. And the Brake Handbook. And here's the kicker, there's more. The Ford Registered Technician program. I think I accumulated about 6 of these roles at Ford. John has obviously quite a few more. All sorts, Smart Lock and Festiva engine management, all sorts of stuff. But what I like are these data guides. There's 2 medial ones. There's an XD one in here somewhere. I just saw FCLTD. There you go, XD and ZJs. All these tune-up guides, which are beautiful, and they're plastic coated so that if you've got grotty hands, you can wipe them clean. Vehicles of the Future. Thankfully, we didn't get that one. But there's heaps and heaps of anti-lock braking, EFSRS. This one has on the back of it, John, call me Fiona. And it must have been a good call because they got married and had children. There's also a book on automatic transmissions. It's AA, double C. It's 1983. So this has got different types of transmissions in it. Borborna 66, I don't even know what that is. Oh, the FMX. So all these specifications, Honda-matic, Nissan-matic, tall flights, all sorts of stuff. Right, nitrous oxide for the Starley. Got a book on that. Got some of the Gregory's ones, LHLX Tiranas, HQHJ. This is lovely. This is Harry Stanton again. He would have bought that when he got his VK. And again, beautiful manual. I just saw his name there. Great manifold bolt-on. I think I've already got that one. Engine blueprinting. Bolt-on performance. I know I've got this one, Ford Performance. Performance with economy. And it's got a V8 with 2 big hair dryers on it. Don't know how much economy you're going to get there. Hot rod big box Chevys. Holden 6. Oh, improved performance. We've got another one of these. Unless it's a different edition. Stromberg. Oh, this is good. CD carbies. Carter carburetors. Now I will use that. How to build a big block Chev. Holly carburetors, another one, I think. Rochester. Tune up and troubleshooting. Saturday Mechanic. Don't know who they are. Gregory's again. These are surprising. Master 626. XC Falcon 6-cylinder. Oh, look at this. Lovely lovely manual for the HKTG. And it even shows you the difference in the grills. 8-cylinder Holden. Sigma GE. And Home Mechanic from Gregory's. That is a big, big donation. 2 more things I almost forgot. A micrometer for working out your valve springs. You take the spring off, put that over your guide, and then your retainer in there, and you can work out exactly how high. Then test your other valve springs to make sure they haven't sort of failed or sunk or whatever. And he also threw in, for good measure, a Holly Blue. So that was one heck of a Christmas present. You now, look, in truth, you don't get mail bags like this, and you wouldn't expect it. This was just, there was a jack as well, and I said, look, offer this stuff to other people before you give it all to me, because I did feel a bit guilty taking all this stuff. Now, John is a very generous guy. He's always been selfless. It doesn't surprise me he's done this. I said, you should sell this stuff, you get some money for it, and good money too. And he said, I can't be bothered with all that. So he can rest assured that if he ever wants any of it back, he can just come and take it, because I never give away anything that someone's gifted me. I always look after them and hang on. So thanks very, very much to everyone who donates stuff, and I've been the recipient of a lot of stuff, particularly the XC. A lot of people have been most generous, and I feel very, very humbled by that. And not just that, also the patrons, and some of the patrons have donated an awful lot of money, and some keep putting it up, and others have been with me right from the very beginning. You know, when I started opening Patreon, I felt guilty about it, and people jumped straight on board, and I always feel really appreciative of that. Guilty in some ways too, that I can't deliver the content that some of these people want, because my view numbers, particularly with motorcycles and computers and all this, aren't very high. But I do appreciate that people are patient with me. Restoring cars and bikes is difficult at times, and sometimes you need to sort of walk away and come back and do something else just to make yourself feel a bit fresher. So thanks again to everybody for all your help and assistance and all this sort of stuff. It sounds cliche by saying, look, I don't think I could do this without you, but I actually really mean that I couldn't do it without you. Those books and everything that John's given me, they will live inside. So I've got some special books. I've got all the VL books as well, and some of the motorcycle manuals that are original, and the MGB one as well. Some of them aren't reprintable. They're sort of special and quite old. Right, so the next video. I've got no idea. I haven't really started filming anything yet, and haven't also given, too much thought to it all. This might raise a few eyebrows, this frame 350 special thing. It's unconventional. You don't see antique white frames, and the white frames are on cop bikes, and there are a few cop things I've got. You'll probably remember I did a thanks to the cops for all the work they've done, and there's a police speedo for it, and there's also a headlight shell and a few other bits and pieces. But the easiest thing would be to do Brat, Scrambler, Bobber, Cafe Racer. Everyone does it, and I've got the attitude with this, like I did with the XW when I started that, in that GT tribute cars are very popular with those things, and economically I probably should have done a GT tribute car on the XW, because it's always going to be worth more, but I just didn't want it. I didn't want one. There's always that burning question, is it a real GT? You do get asked these things, and if I'm going to drive around a GT Falcon, it's going to be a real one. Same with the Monaro or anything like that. This bike, again, it's very easy to copy the styles, and some of these Brat and Cafe Racer style bikes look absolutely fantastic, but they're kind of overdone in my opinion at the moment. That being said, this would have been perfect for it because it has. I have all those cafe bits, but to be serious, I don't ever want to use them. I don't like them enough. So I'm going in a different direction with this one. It won't be white all over, just the frame. Chain guards and all that sort of stuff will be black. You know, the air filter box will be black, the engine will be silver, and all that sort of stuff. So the white won't take much of it, but it will be a two-tone bike. We'll just suck it and see how it goes. But if it turns out looking absolutely crap, well, it's going to look better than it was when it was rusty and the engine was sort of all stuffed in the corner with dodgy bits on it and peeling black paint and corrosion. So it will look better, but having a bit of having a few thoughts about how it's going to look when it's finished. So anyway, look, the frame's compliant. It looks lovely. And Sam did a wonderful job. And if anyone's curious about who does my powder coating, it's Sam at Tech Coat in Bayswater. He and his wife run a business there. Plating, of course, as I keep saying, is Warner's Metro in Power Road in Bayswater. And hydroblasting is John from Ferntree Gully Hydroblasting. So I should say thanks to those guys too, because they always look after me. And his rather lovely headlight will be going on here shortly. I'm going to fudge the light in it, the globe in it, because I'm having all sorts of trouble trying to locate one. I spoke to him in the middle of the night here. I think it was 4 o'clock in the morning or something. It was 11 in the morning in Canada, and I gave him a call to say thanks very much for bringing it, or for sending it. So I've got the light and everything to go there. I'll figure out the bulb, the globe, and the only thing is, of course, the brake stuff, as I mentioned before. I might try and order some stuff locally, and when the other stuff gets here, you know what, I've got seconds. It's getting to the point which is ridiculous, and I don't know if it's been lost in the mail, but I ordered it at the start of August, and we're now... I ordered it 2 months ago. Hang on. Yeah, 2 months ago. It might still be on the way. I don't know. But this bike is all but finished, apart from that. The only reason the seat's not on it and the tank's loose is because I've got to wire in the brake light switch for the front, and I just didn't see the point in finishing putting it together. But they're the only things it needs. I've got the battery from Phil. I do have to test that regulator rectifier too. That might not suffice, but as long as it gets roadworthy, I don't really care. The old 350 is another one. Brake components as well. They're coming from England, or one's coming from the United States, and one part's coming from England, and they will get here. And then this is finished too. I just need a seat cover and a chain and sprockets, and I've already ordered the chain. Just a pair of sprockets and a seat, really, a seat cover. So I've got the padding, I've got the base. The engine's ready to be started. I've run out of Active 4T, so the oil level's a little bit low for my liking, but we'll top it up with oil, stick some fuel in it, and it should be a good little runner. So that one's ready, and with any luck, I'll have the 2 bikes ready for roadworthy within, I would imagine, the next 2 weeks. My beloved XC Fairmont, the door seal you can see in that white, blue and red bag over there, they've replaced it. I got 2 left-hand uppers, and that was a bit of a pain, so I sent one back, and Kingswood Country have sent in a new Rare Spares door seal for the driver's side upper, so that can finish off the door seals. The guard behind it needs very little work, and that can be painted. I've done this completely wrong. I've painted it over a period of years, which is dumb. You shouldn't do that. And I'm going to send the seatbelt, that's all just dust. I'm going to send the seatbelts out to be re-webbed, then all this stuff can go on. I still need a, is it this one? I still need a, I've got to buy one of these too, because that's stuff, that's the, whoops, sorry, drivers or right-hand kick trim. And then that can all be done, put back together, and that'll be good. I'm actually looking forward. I'm getting sort of more keen to do or finish this car. I still have to colour sand the boot or the trunk and buffer and put Grant's trim on it and a couple of a Fairmont GXL badge and a Ford badge, and that will move this car along very, very well. I want to grab a tail shaft too. I want to start it, drive it up and down the driveway. There's a few bits and pieces to get for it, but the bulk of the expense is well and truly over. Computer videos seem to be very unpopular with me, or with people watching this stuff. I kind of dig them, you know what I mean? It's a good rainy day sort of job. Got another video card, so we can finish off one of them. There's 64 meg of video there, so you just put 2 in each machine. And also that, what do you call it? That's a hard disk with an SD card in it. So that other one that we didn't finish off, we can finish off as well. And put it in the cupboard and forget about it. But you know what? I kind of dig that stuff, but I don't know. It's not popular. I did lawnmower videos once, and that got very little views. And computers get the only things that get good views with me when I wheel the XC out. That's the only thing. And the XW that got great views. The rest of it, even the bikes, and bikes worldwide are more popular, but it's the YouTube thing, I think, where I don't know. I don't know why I get so few, but they're either me or the algorithm or whatever. I'm not sure, but for me, it's still a hobby, and I still really enjoy it. So the bikes are particularly satisfying for me at the moment, probably because they don't have doors and windows in them. So there's more cleaning up. I've got a bunch of other stuff I need to throw out and find room for some of the other things like these books and all that sort of stuff. I might keep the books inside actually. But that bench over there is going to get moved. It's not in an accessible place. It's a pain in the neck there. I did it as a means to an end, so a bike will go there. I'll probably put the 750 there because that's a nice long area, and the 750 is a physically huge bike. And I'll put it over there where I can use it. And that's where I do the bulk of my work over there. And that will create a little bit more room once I've thrown some of the other junk out that I've got. I generally don't throw anything out until I'm finished a project, then I throw a lot of stuff out. The XC, once that's finished, people doing XC projects, I'll offer any of the parts back to the people that donated, like surplus parts. I know John Parnas donated a whole lot of stuff. One of them was the wiper linkages, and I used his in the car, and not the ones that came with this car because they were messed up, but not too badly messed up. But I'll offer them to John first, and then anyone else that wants them if he doesn't. I'm not sure. So lots of cleaning up to do still, and finding room, but I'm enjoying it. The other thing that's cropped up is a really messed up XL500 frame, motor, and a few bits. Good to stick on a bench like that 350 over there. That 350 will sit on the bench over there with an engine in it, a few bits and pieces hanging off it. That can stay there for as long as it takes. I don't care. The priority is getting these two motorcycles finished, and then I want to get back onto the XC. I need this bloody car finished. It's been dragging on far too long. And oddly enough, I got a few comments which I kind of enjoyed, which were, "Come on, Peter, one last push, you can do it." They know I'm struggling with it to get it finished, and it's very obvious, of course. But yeah, I just need to get it done. And this little MG down here, below where the 350 is, that does need some work too. So there's plenty to do. I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the flexibility. Please bear with me with all my stupid ideas and projects. I kind of, even the computer ones or a lawnmower one, you know, people don't seem to enjoy them, and people are quite vocal about that in the comments. But at the end of the day, it's fun for me, and I kind of dig doing it, I guess. But anyway, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Thank you very much for watching this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. What do you reckon? Shit. Jesus.